Would you say it's becoming more an expectation to have comfort features?
85% of the market, there is an expectation. Realistically, fashions aren't getting more formal. We're really becoming more casualised. The gauntlet has been thrown down to brands to really make sure they're stepping up from a technology perspective and a contemporary look perspective. There's always a focus on the arch and that kind of thing, but you've also got to look at the incorporation of different materials. The suppleness of the leather, that's going to help with the comfort level because it's going to be really pliable and flexible on the upper piece. You can have all the technology in the world, but if it's ugly and you don't want to wear it, it's going to do nothing for you.
Have we sacrificed any of those orthopedic features that you got in the shoebox to make it more fashionable?
I think it's a really good question.
Welcome to the Comfort Walk and Talk, where every step towards comfort is a step towards a healthier you.
We're your hosts,
Jeff,
Allanah,
And Ben.
together, let's transform our lives from the ground up. Our topic today is, we've titled it Comfort or Trends and Directions in Comfort Footwear, and in particularly the international side of it from the US. So, we talk a lot about comfort footwear, and what we thought we wanted to do is actually have a look and see what's happened in the industry from someone who's a bit of an expert. And we're going to introduce Liam Bourke to the podcast. Liam actually is an Australian, and I've known Liam for over 20 years now. But he's been in the US for a long time now, and he'll tell us a bit more about that. He's a brand strategist, a business leader. He's got 20 years experience helping big names like Amazon, QVC, Zappos grow and thrive. And as Vice President of Global Multimedia Development at Vionic Group. That's a mouthpiece. That's a mouthful, that one. Anyway, we'll find out about what that means in a second. He's all about crafting compelling brand stories. We love a good brand story, don't we, Ben?
Oh,
building strategic partners and driving impressive revenue growth, like managing an $85 million P&L. And leading global expansion efforts. So Liam's career has been packed with exciting challenges, which we want to hear about, from launching brands internationally to creating standout shopping experiences. Recognised with multiple industry awards, he's passionate about innovation, collaboration, and helping businesses unlock their full potential. So welcome, Liam, to our podcast. And, these podcasts, they communicate with our consumer audience, and what they're all about is sort of, explaining, demystifying comfort footwear and some of the features and things that we should be looking at. So as I say, this is a very interesting topic for us because, there's been a lot of change in comfort footwear, and a lot of people talk about fashion and style and comfort together. So we really want to hear your thoughts on that. But so before we start though, tell us about you and your footwear experience.
Sure. Well, look, I always like to say I started at the bottom of footwear and worked my way down. So it's been a long and fun career actually, and it's been amazing because the brands and the companies I've worked for one brand for a long time, but I've made lifelong friendships in the organisations that I've worked within with that brand. So it's been an amazing story. But started my career actually at Rockport. In Australia, where I looked after the Queensland, Northern New South Wales territory with Rockport, and then had a very brief sojourn out of footwear and went to pharmaceuticals for a little while. But as most people within the footwear industry would know, you never stay out of it for too long. You always come back at some point. And not long after, I actually joined the team at Orthopedic, or Vasili International as it was then, which then morphed into Vionic. So it's been a very long story of me and Vionic. I've been there since, I think, October 2005, I think I joined. And that's, I think, where I met you, Jeff, a couple of months after that. Yeah.
So a follow-up question to that, because we both share a little bit of the same timeline. Comfort shoes, when I was introduced to the term, it was code for something that meant orthopedic and potentially pretty ugly shoes.
a shoebox with laces.
Exactly.
Right?
So, it's a good starting point in terms of tell us a little about your impression or experience with that sort of category over the years.
Well, I mean, there has certainly been an evolution, but you probably saw me wince before too when you were talking about fashion and comfort all melded in together. And there's always this synonymous line that so many brands use, which you don't have to trade, style or fashion for comfort anymore.
Yeah.
And it just almost like nails down a chalkboard for me.
I thought I invented that.
Because well, sorry, you're the person, you're the one. Because I think in comfort footwear now there's been such a homogenization, right? Where every brand's got its own technology and every brand has its own fashion elements as well. But I think just to backtrack, you think about where things were, in the mid 2000s, 2005, 2006, and really, there's the cat. That's Ace, by the way. I told you we'd have an appearance with a cat.
G'day, Ace.
That's Ace. He's that's the cheeky one. But
Has he got the kitty slippers on?
he's got the kitten mittens. But it truly was a time where true comfort was not attractive in any way, shape, or form. And I think there were a couple of leaders in the area of comfort which really did help drive and, if you like, pioneer the fashion elements into it. And they weren't big steps. They were kind of like, just taking a big, chunky, orthotic looking sole and just streamlining it a little bit, taking a few mils out of it here and there. And that was really sort of the starting steps. Vionic, which, obviously, look, I've had a long history with some of the pioneers, but there are some other great brands out there that did the same thing. I go to brands like Echo. I go to, this is going back a little bit back in the day. Even Naturalizer were a good brand in how they really sort of, I guess, made comfort fashionable. So never on the cutting edge of fashion, but always just able to follow the trends and add in those little comfort elements. And then you've got long-standing brands like Scholl with almost the retro look. You think about the exercise sandal. How often does that come in and out of trend and style over the years? So there are some brands that can get a little bit kitschy as well. But I think nowadays there's a lot of brands that have really put a big focus on the fashion elements of it and really moved to the fashion elements. Again, not first to the market in fashion areas, but certainly a very close second. But also adding in these really wonderful comfort technologies and features.
So from your experience, having gone from, as you said, the shoebox with laces to where we are now, have we sacrificed any of those kind of orthopedic features that you got in the shoebox to make it more fashionable?
I don't think so. I think it's a really good question. At some point, brands are going to evolve and maybe segment their range a little bit into sort of more fashionable areas that are still offering some comfort features, but not the same amount of features as some other areas, some less fashionable areas of their style. Because at some point you really do have to streamline, the look of the style. You've got to make it nice and sleek. If you're thinking about more dressier sort of styles, so you think of women's dress sandals and that kind of thing, you don't want a big chunky midsole or outsole on that. So there is always going to be some compromise to be made there. But I think by and large, I think brands are doing a very good job at the engineering of the uppers around the comfort footbeds.
It's something we say here all the time is your, a shoe can be as good for you as you like, but if it's left in your cupboard, then it's not good for you, is it? So it's finding that balance.
You can have all the technology in the world, but if it's ugly and you don't want to wear it, it's going to do nothing.
Exactly.
So and so even you can look at the 1 or 2 percenters, right? So you even think about materials. Like you could have a really good 3 or 4 degree wedge, but if you put it on a softer material, then you're still getting some benefit, but it's not the same benefit as something with a slightly firmer material. So they're always but it's better than nothing, right? That's always got to be the trade-off.
Yeah, I feel Vionic's kind of gotten that down to a science, haven't they? Is we quite often here, because we have, at the Comfort Co, we're multi-brand, we have a few in there. You get those repeat customers, people that will not wear anything but Vionic because they've got that balance right. Is that arch support? We do have to tell people, wear them for a week before passing judgment because you need to get used to it. But once you do, you're never taking them off. So
exactly, but that's where you can sort of soften it too, where compliance with, especially with orthotic technology can sometimes be quite low. Like it might be too severe for someone. So that's why instead of maybe using an EV a little bit softer, and, taking you from either a severely overpronated or even a neutral foot to something that's being a little bit more supported. So, there are different ways, I feel, to go about, how you can really appeal and delight the end user of your product and make them, a really great advocate of your brand and what we call a sticky customer, wanting to stick to one brand, across many different categories.
It's a good point you make about softening it. Do you, a trend that we're seeing, I wouldn't mind you commenting on it, is softer insoles or cushioning is becoming more attractive to a younger audience, which is almost creating younger customers to the comfort category, but because they're looking for cushioning soft bottoms. What do you think about that comment?
Yeah, look, I would tend to agree. Look, I think the foot health has become a little bit more front of mind for younger consumers, but you're never going to get them buying a comfort shoe,
No.
as such. You're never going to get them
the
looking
dietary
at the
designed arch support. It doesn't really ring it true.
doesn't really appeal too much, but unless it gets a bit kitschy. But you think about the cushioning, you think about brands like On Running is a great example, which is hot and it's on trend.
Yeah.
Right. And yes, it's more athletic and athleisure. I guess I'm in Australia now, I can say it normally. But
Welcome back, mate.
Thank you. Great to be back. My friends over here won't be able to understand me after I've spoken to Australians for a couple of hours.
Vegemite.
Exactly. But you've got brands like that, which are, there are some really great functional aspects to those types of brands. They're really on trend from a fashion aspect, and they're also got some great functionality. So it's almost like a way to hide the veggies, I guess. I think there are a lot of great contemporary brands that are coming through with some great comfort technology, and are sometimes mission based as well, which is becoming important. I think more and more prevalent and more important for consumers, particularly here in the States.
One of the things that your title says a lot when you talk about brand stories and about multimedia and all that. And certainly one of the things that we struggle with is that most of the comfort features that we build in are almost like invisible. They're hidden, hard to find, so what are some of the things, because there's obviously new media is amazing now and where it's at. Tell us some of the things that you've experienced in terms of communicating to consumers.
Well, look, I'm a massive proponent, and you mentioned, my working with QVC. I'm a huge proponent of what's referred to as video commerce as a way to really, first of all, really engage with a consumer. Because to your point, Jeff, there's not a lot of comfort technologies that are visible, right? So when you're talking about shanks and even different densities of EVA and fancy words like varus wedges and all that sort of fun stuff, where people's eyes will just glaze over. But in the realm of video commerce, and let's use TV home shopping as a prime example of that, you're able to create animations to really convey what that means for the consumer. Because at the end of the day, as brands or retailers, what we need to care about the most is what's in it for the consumer, what's in it for the end user. And you need to make sure you're giving them as much information as you can for them to make an informed purchasing decision. And I always a firm believer that video commerce is the best way to do that. And whether that be live selling or through QVC or HSN or TVSN in Australia, whether it be through streaming, where you've got a lot of the platforms now, you've got platforms like or Amazon Live. There's another platform called Comment Sold, which is live selling through social media platforms in a shorter format. Even the likes of the TikToks and Instagrams of the world and that kind of thing, or even just producing video content on your own website. because, again, it's a more engaging experience for the consumer. Instead of looking at pictures and reading some bullet points on a product description, to actually hear someone talking about it. And, if they're making a more informed purchase, and it might be an informed purchase of, well, maybe this isn't the product for me and I'll look for something else. That to me is sometimes a win, because I prefer to take a lost sale sometimes rather than, a disappointed customer. And I really feel that, articulating the technologies can sometimes be, can help you explain things a little bit more clearly for the consumer, for the end user.
Yeah, it's just that stickiness as well, isn't it? If you want to get people in the right shoes, and then they will get the right shoes again down the track.
Exactly right. And especially for the likes of Comfort Co, where you've got multi brands, then there is an opportunity to say, well, it gives them a chance to compare and contrast through the descriptors that you're giving them. And I'll tell you one thing I do love. I mean, I'm hugely passionate about the QVC platform, but what I really do like is actually streaming and live streaming, because that gives you an ability to connect with the consumer directly. If they've got questions, they can be typing it in, and you can interact with them directly. And more than likely, there's probably 10 other people with the same question.
Exactly.
So you're able to really, in very real time, answer questions, and it can lead you on different tangents as well, which is always the fun of it also.
So Liam, in preparing for this discussion, I look back at some of your QVC experiences, and you have a pretty unique way of.
I had hair when I started at QVC, mate. That's what it does to you.
And you kept the Aussie accent, which was good.
That's right.
But you had a pretty unique way of selling what I think is one of the most hidden things, and that's an arch support, or the Vionic secret. And can you just sort of maybe just explain, how you sort of did that on TV, that made sense to the consumer? I know it's probably better with an illustration, but we can probably put something up on the screen when we.
Well, that's how I met my wife, by the way.
Is that right?
My wife was a demo model at QVC.
Oh, no.
So, yes, indeed.
You're kidding. So you're like there playing, oh, nice leg.
That's right. Well, exactly. Well, I wrote my phone number down the leg instead of the lines. So it was... no, look, I think that was always the Vionic way of doing things, right? And that was the best way to show the difference that that Vionic insert really made in the shoe, and that was something that was done. I can't take credit for those lines on the leg. That was done by Vionic's founder Phil Vastilli, but it really is the most impactful way to show what the technology does, and to be able to do that in real time to the viewer, it did show the difference that that Vionic technology made. And we would always see it, like back in the day at QVC, well, even still today, there's always a line producer in your ear, and they'd be telling, oh, there's a big spike here of callers or viewers and that kind of thing, and that demonstration would always be the spike and in viewership, and just after the demo used to be the spike in calls and sales, and what would happen was that they would be sitting there and watching, so no one would be buying. They'd watch the demonstration and go, oh, and then you'd see the spike in calls. But that demonstration then led us down the line of developing different demonstrations to show different areas of that technology. So from that front demonstration, we're also able to show the impact on the knee, where we just put a dot on the knee and show how the alignment of the foot could actually also affect the knee. When we introduced our heels and wedges, we created a demonstration whereby we would put our demo model into a non-Vionic wedge and actually shine a flashlight underneath her arch.
Amazing.
And you'd see the light coming through, and then we'd put her in the Vionic footbed, and then you'd see no light shining through. So you'd show how there's full foot support. We used to do the Jacks test, where you move the big toe. So talking about big toe, the big toe joint mobility, first ray flexion. What else did we do? The elongation demonstration. So, we used to show how the foot, when it was in that overpronated or unsupported position, would actually elongate. So the medium of television
It's
was
amazing.
really able to give us all of those. And, I'll tell you now, and it doesn't come just from a footwear thing either. Like, I've seen some apparel brands do some brilliant animations on things like the difference between Pima cotton and real cotton. There's a lot of beauty brands who utilize both before and afters and that kind of thing with their products. So, it truly is the best medium to be able to show the viewer, i.e. the consumer, the difference that your product can make for that end user, which ultimately should be the goal of brands and retailers.
With the again, this just as a bit of a statistic for our customers. What's the biggest? Because you've done a lot of QVC, right? And we've done this line diagram, we'll show it on the screen. But basically, what you're saying is, if you have an arch support, there's a line that's straight, and if you don't have it, it bends. It's very visual for the consumer. That straight is better because it shows alignment. But what's the biggest number of shoes you've sold on a show, do you think? And because these shows are 1 hour long, aren't they, or 2 hours long? Or something?
Yeah. So look, on the most on a given show, I couldn't tell you. I can tell you the biggest hour show that I had.
Yeah.
Was on like a Monday night.
Yeah.
And we did about $1.1 million at retail in an hour.
Which would be a lot of shoes, I guess. A lot of shoes.
Is a lot of shoes. And the record before, my personal record before that for a 1 hour show was the Saturday before, and we did $1 million. So that was a pretty good month for QVC and Vionic.
So I'm just trying to do the numbers. That would have to be something like 100,000 pairs. Is that right?
It would be give or take, yeah. No, it'd probably be a little less than that because it was about this time of year actually.
Okay.
So we're coming into so you're going to have a mixture of the higher price boots and then probably coming into some more transitional type items as well. But you also think about days like TSVs, right, which is a big value of the day. I think our record there was about 106,000 pairs in a 24-hour period of one item. Item. Like it just boggles the mind.
Amazing.
Wow.
So, sorry, Ben, you go. Yeah.
I'm just thinking with a lot of these kind of demonstrations that you've done as well. You kind of mentioned before the slight move into short form. You're still very much your TV shopping expert, but things like your demonstration and that, do you think they could have a second life on your short form for the younger demographics?
100%, but I think you've got to you've got to really sort of think again how impactful or how important is that for them. I feel for the younger demographic, you've almost got to is a demonstration's the right way, or is it more of an animation type thing, which will capture them quickly? Because sometimes a demo will take 30 seconds, right? And on short form, you've got to get it even quicker. We're talking in terms of 2-3 seconds for these hooks, right? Because I know there's all these things of algorithms. If you to catch someone watching your short form video for a minute or something, you've got to do things every certain amount of seconds.
The psychology behind it's bananas.
It's amazing. I went to a conference, it was a couple of months ago now, and they actually talked it through, and they actually stopped it at every 3 seconds because they said, and I can't remember what the example was, but they stopped it at 3 seconds and said, well, here's how they've set it up. And then by 12 seconds, she's got to say this, and it got there, and that kept it all going. So I think for short
form. It was like
form,
that example you said, the Chinese selling what they doing 3 second shoes, mate.
Did you see that? It was at the start. I believe it was the start of this year, and showed every product for 2 seconons.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well, that's a talent there. I'd like to try that.
Just literally, didn't even say anything about them. Just showed the camera. Thank you. See ya.
Check it out and guess what it does. But I think in shorter form, I think you're always better served with some animations because I think you can get the point across even quicker, and in the way that you want to.
So, Liam, in terms of the category, what have you seen in terms of innovations in the last year or couple of years, and you think going forward in terms of just this whole comfortable shoe category?
Yeah. I think, there hasn't been a huge amount of changes in technology,
Yeah,
right? And I think there's always going to be a limit to it, if you think about it. But what I really like about what's happening in the category is that brands are applying the technology in different ways. And the best example, and I always go to Vionic, and sorry, it's just been such a long time, and I've been there most recently, but you've got the Uptown, which I'm sure a
yeah,
lot of people are very familiar with. So that was applying that orthotic technologies, that great support, into something that was super flexible, right? A
yeah,
360-degree flex outsole. So that's applying the technology that every one knows and loves, but then surprised them with an unexpected twist on, literally a twist on that, with
yeah,
that 360-degree flex. And, that super flexible outsole, again, it comes to the comfort. When people are thinking about comfort shoes, there's a couple of boxes that you need to tick, and support's one of them, cushioning's one of them, and flexibility.
yeah.
It's got to be comfort. You don't want to wear something that's rigid. So that's a prime example of applying an existing technology and a proven technology, but in a very different manner.
Yeah. And the other question on this is, are you seeing, when we started, it was all about a lace-up shoe or a sandal. Are you seeing a lot more comfort shoes in other categories like that haven't been touched before, like maybe heeled shoes or dress shoes? And are you seeing stuff happen there?
Yeah, and yes, absolutely. And honestly, that started probably way back in the day. Even at my time with Rockport, we
Yeah.
introduced a heel, and what they did with the heel was just reduce the pitch, and
Yeah.
by reducing the pitch, you get better full foot contact. So that created a
Yeah.
comfort heel, if you like.
Yeah.
And then introduced there, and there's a number of brands that have applied that and applied different cushioning techniques. Along the way. Obviously, again, with Vionic, you have the contoured insole, which gives full foot contact, and there's a lot of other brands that have picked up that type of technology as well. There was a brand here called Taryn Rose, which did an amazing job of that. And I think she was an orthopedic surgeon, so she was able to apply again, what she knew to that type of footwear. But again, that's just a way to really provide an unexpected level of comfort to really refined footwear. Ballet flats is another one where I've always said there's no false advertising with ballet flats. They're built flat, right? They are
Yeah.
they are what they are. So to be able to apply great flexion technology, some arch support into a ballet flat is really unique, and again is delighting the customer because they want the look of the ballet flat, and then wow, they put it on and it's that comfortable. Fantastic. They're really happy with that. And I think sometimes with comfort shoes as well, yes, there's always a focus on the arch and that kind of thing, but you've also got to look at the incorporation of different materials, the suppleness of the leather. Some of the Mia Vita styles with the beautiful soft leather on the upper. I mean, that's the perfect storm, right? Where you have some support, but then you've got a beautiful soft upper on the leather. And again, that's going to help with the comfort level because it's going to be really pliable and flexible on the upper piece.
And are you seeing like are online sites like say Zappos and all that? Are they providing having a lot of focus and sort of the technology demonstrations and all that?
I feel there's been a bit of a move away from it, certainly with Zappos, and they've moved to more customer testimonials, which I think are very impactful as well. And I think I think customer testimonials are important because as a consumer, I want to know if people like me are liking this shoe. So I think they've kind of moved more to that side of it. Back in the day, we used to do some video content on the Zappos product pages and that kind of thing, and that really sort of aided to help conversion. But look, I think, and I'll go back to it, that any video content that you have on a product page is really going to help conversion because I think it really does engage with the consumer in a very meaningful way.
Another thought I have too, Liam, and just interested in your thoughts, is that we talk about comfort shoes and it's sometimes pigeonholed the category. But if you think about number of shoes bought and, the athletic shoe industry and Skechers and some of the recovery brands and then, what was happening in the industry, probably the majority of shoes have got a comfort feature, haven't they? Have got significant comfort focus. So it's actually an expectation. Would you say it's becoming more an expectation to have comfort features that really, it's not really something that people know they're getting, but they expect it?
Yeah, I think so. I think it has to be a meaningful technology though, because you're not going to fool the consumer.
No.
If you're beating your chest about, what this is going to do for you and that kind of thing, if they get it home and if it doesn't do it, then you might have lost yourself. You'll get a detractor as opposed to a brand promoter. So you've got to make, put your money where your mouth is, so to speak, and make sure that, the technology that you're talking through, is proven, is tested. You've got to make sure the fit is right. There's a lot of components to it. But I completely agree with your views there that there is I would suggest, and not always with everybody, but I would suggest 75, 80%, 85% of the market, there is an expectation for comfort. Not in their running shoes. I'm talking about, maybe their dress shoes or their casual shoes and that kind of thing. And, realistically, fashions aren't getting more formal.
No.
Right? We're really becoming more casualized, and that's as a result, hybrid workspaces, all of that kind of thing. So, I think the gauntlet has been thrown down to brands to really make sure they're stepping up from a technology perspective and a contemporary look perspective.
Okay.
Hey, Liam, so you are the king of on-screen selling, as it is. I want to see if you still got it because we are running out of time. Sell me Vionic. You've got a minute.
I've got a minute to sell Vionic. Well, look, Vionic were really the pioneers in the footwear industry to really incorporate boring podiatrist design technology into contemporary designs that you actually want to wear. All right. And the beauty with Vionic is it is actually a proven technology, but we're introducing new uppers. We're introducing new ways to apply that technology to really contemporary styles that you actually want to wear. And I think the beauty with Vionic is that there is a category of shoe that will fit your lifestyle. I mean, I think with footwear, it's really, really important that you give the value to the consumer, and that means one shoe for multiple purposes, multiple wearing occasions. And Vionic will give you a shoe in any category that is going to give you a level of support and comfort that will delight you.
Oh, he's still got it, guys. He's still got it. How good's that?
No. Well,
and we're out.
No, well, that was a good way to end the show. Well, thanks, Liam, for your time. I mean, Liam is we continually in touch. He's going to be giving us a lot of good tips and features over the years because he's in a situation where he's got a lot of knowledge, and we really do. We really do want that knowledge from the consumer perspective in terms of our footwear. So Liam won't be a stranger, I'm sure, in future episodes. But thank you very much for giving us your time. It is late at night where you are. Again, we're in the middle of summer. You're in the middle of winter. And
getting cool now, mate.
It's getting cool. We're having a beautiful sunny day here. So, much again, thanks very much for your time with us. And, another episode. Thanks very much.
Cheers, guys. Thank you very much.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you for joining us on the Comfort Walk and Talk by the Comfort Co. If you like this episode and you got something out of it, we would love your support with a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
Don't forget to subscribe on your favourite channels and never miss a step on your journey to comfort.
Please follow us for more insights and updates on the Comfort Co social media channels. Until the next episode, see you later.